I met Eric at UCLA. We were both students. He was in the animation department. I was in the screenwriting department. I wrote a 30-minute animated pilot for Stunt in class. It won the competition at the year end for Best TV Pilot, and it got optioned, and it went nowhere. The producer who optioned it basically gave me enough money to put a down payment on a new motorcycle and then sat on it for a year.
You got that bike?
I did get the bike. I still have the bike.
That's what matters.
And when it came back, Leppo and I he actually didn't want me to option it, which is funny, because he had read it ahead of time and he thought we should do something with it. And I was just like, ooh, money, it's an Oscar-winning producer who optioned it. And I was like, I gotta go with this guy. So when the year was out and the
Wait, let's show our first image. So when Tony.
Oh, do you have that?
Yeah, I have it.
You go down too, I think.
Okay. So 24 hours. Tony comes to me and I met Tony through a guy named Jeff King.
Who writes for Elementary, if anybody watches that show.
Write that show.
Really talented screenwriter, was in class with me.
And again, I had done a couple animated shorts that had chickens in them, and then this dude, I'm teaching a history animation class to Jeff, and he goes, whoa, man, he checked out my animation, he goes, hey, I know this guy just wrote an awesome story about chickens, you guys need to talk. And we're like, yeah, okay. And Tony was like, hey, I just won this award, people are gonna be reading my script on stage in front of like thousands of people tomorrow. Can you make me a poster? And I said, yeah, okay. So I made that.
In less than 24 hours with no sleep.
Yeah, thank you. That's standard. So, okay, we'll go from there.
So yeah, so basically, we got the option back. I went to Eric. We wanted to do something with it. We obviously could not afford ourselves to do an entire 30-minute animated pilot. So we did two things.
That costs like $150,000 to $250,000. Just like if you go to Shadow Machine or places like that actually make this shit, that's how much they will tell you that it costs. Just so you know.
Very expensive stuff.
And that's for an 11-minute episode. So you know.
Yeah. But we still like the property, and so then it became a discussion over a couple of months of how in the world do we tell this story and do it in a way that we can afford to do it, but is worthy of the story itself. And we came with this idea to do a kid's storybook of it, to where it's like a read-along type of thing, but just with really lewd, raunchy humor.
Yeah, and so we started talking about other stories and stuff, and then I made some new artwork. I think the next slide.
Yeah.
So we actually had had a little bit of time. So I drew. I was like, okay, maybe this is Stunt. Because Stunt is a fucking asshole. Okay, he's not a nice guy, but he has redeeming qualities. He's got his little.
We were looking at Kenny Powers from Eastbound and Down a little bit for the character. Also, Bad Santa. Big fan of that movie. Love what a prick Billy Bob Thornton is there. And there's just not enough assholes on TV. And that was something actually my teacher, Fred Rubin, who, when I pitched 4 ideas in that class, and I did not want to write Stunt Cock, and he said, no, you're writing Stunt Cock because that guy's an asshole and assholes are funny. He insisted I write this.
And he wrote on, what did he write on? He was like,
Night Court. Family Matters and Night Court.
Old school dude.
Yeah. So was this something that you guys wanted to do as a book right off, or is it something that you wanted to do in a TV show?
We still want it as a TV show.
Yeah. That would be nice.
This book is basically an abbreviation of the 30-page pilot for the TV show, but told as a kid's story. So there's been some changes in the plot. There's changes in the way it's told.
Yeah, well, because Tony's first script, it was great. I wish his girlfriend was here. She had this idea. She said, you need to do something with crippled chihuahuas, right?
That was her.
Yeah, and and then Tony goes, yeah, how about crippled chihuahua chariot race?
That's how my brain works.
I'm the Chihuahua artist.
He is the Chihuahua man.
History and Chihuahuas.
And
that's right.
Wait, I can't do a shot.
It's in the very back.
He's going to read a passage from there.
When they arrived at the track behind the topless tapas bar, Stunt climbed aboard his crippled Chihuahua chariot and chugged tequilas to steady his nerves.
And you can see the picture looks just a little bit like Ren, which we couldn't avoid putting in there.
So then I was like, man, I got to write that. So I wrote a short with just the crippled Chihuahua chariot race. And Tony was like, that needs to go with this other thing. Now it's a full story. let's make this a book. So
We basically made the chariot race the short, and we made it the climax of the story.
right. And then we're like, oh, let's make a book. Well, we don't know how to do that. We've never done that before. Guess we need an illustrator. And I got some money together, and I put an ad out, talked to a bunch of people, trying to find people, hundreds and hundreds of applicants. But we wanted something classic, Looney Tunes style, like something that not all these like vectorized, looks like flash cutout, stupid. All these books look the same. We didn't want anything like that. We wanted something just with high touch, real quality, and we couldn't find it. Couldn't fucking find it.
It's one of those Craigslist searches. I mean, hundreds and hundreds
Yeah.
of people. When you say, "Hey, we're looking for a visual artist," they just flood you.
Right.
And I was right there in Van Nuys.
Yeah, he was right there. And
I had no idea.
So we took the script and we put it into, we just started breaking the script into pages. After we wrote a new pilot, smashing those two things together, and then we broke that into pages. And then we had this, and we, were trying to find artists, can't find anything. And then my friend Matt Flynn, who storyboarded, Despicable Me, The Lorax, and a ton of Cartoon Network stuff. He's a guy I went to high school with in Ohio, and then we both ended up going to UCLA, MFA animation. Like, it's crazy. Anyway, he introduced me to Dave.
Dave Hoffman, yes.
Dave Hoffman, and because he was like, this guy can kind of draw like what you're looking for. And I talked to Dave, and Dave's like, I could do it, but there's somebody that's so much better than me that you need to work with, and that is Jim Smith. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll try. And then how did it happen? Like, did I call you?
It was an email, I think, or Dave. I think Dave gave me your email and said, give this guy a call. I needed work, and I always wanted to do a children's book, golden books. I remember those fondly from my childhood, and I thought this would be a great chance to kind of get that thing under my belt, and luckily I met these guys. And
How much influence do you guys have on his illustrations? Do you give him free reign, or is it a?
So again, we'd never done this before, so we developed a process.
super secret, patented.
Well, yes.
Process.
For the final color, you will never know how that was done. But we
Never tell.
no, and we would do thumbnails basically. We can show you an example. If you scroll to the next one. So on the left is an example where that's a page that I was like, yeah, something like this. And then on the right, it was Jim. That's totally just Jim's design. He said, oh, here's Ernesto displaying Jesus that he found in a pancake. Okay, and he's like, yeah, I got that. He drew that. He's like, how do you want the other page? Give me a thumbnail. So I give him a thumbnail. Then go to the next slide. So we do a black and white layout first, right? And people can't hear me because I'm too far back. Just yell or wave your hands or something. So,
Beat that mic, buddy.
and so we do the black and white layout. Okay, that's good. That's locked. So we had a full. This is a 40-page book, so we had a 40-page black and white locked layout. Then we went to color. So if you go to the next slide, you can see that's how we get to the final. Was that your question?
Does that look like Jesus in that thing? Some people think it's not.
Ernesto thinks it's Jesus, and that's really all that counts.
Virgin Mary, no, it's Jesus. No.
Yeah, but basically, I mean, Jim could draw what was in our heads. I mean, you saw that ugly ass thumbnail, right? And boom, Jim would nail what was in
I
our
gotta
head.
say, your thumbnails are great because the ideas there and the energy's there, and that's a great way for me to work because I know, it tells me all the information and it's coming from the source, so that's a good way for me to work.
Yeah, and there weren't like stages in between this. Like he would literally take some like crappy thing that we, scribbled out in 5 minutes and just turn it into that. He was just like, oh, I get it, and then boom, it was there. He just got exactly what we were going for, and that's.
We were like sympathetic, sympathetico.
But to get to that final color image, this is all done on paper, right? So, we literally, he'd take pictures of the stuff that he did, if you go back a slide, that's,
I don't even know how to go back.
so that's a photo he took on his cell phone and emailed to me, right? And then I took that and I laid it out. I mean, this was pretty old school, how we did all this stuff. And then to get to the next one, that's the color, this was all done in different layers, like you know, the way we would do a traditional animation, right? You have your background layer and then the characters go on top of that. So it's all separate layers that we would then composite together to get that final image. And that would take like 4 hours a page sometimes, or like 160 hours of just compositing stuff to get it down to where you want to get it. Everything scanned at 1200 DPI, just as clean as you can get it. You know, and that would just take forever. But we got something that we liked.
Many camels went through this process, many packs.
Oh yeah, smoking. Smoking's bad for your health. Don't do it.
When you guys were writing this, did you guys have a thought of maybe it's too dirty and won't sell, or did you guys just like, the hell with it, we're just going to do what we want to do, and if it sells, it sells, if it doesn't, it doesn't?
This is dirty?
It wasn't dirty enough. Make it dirtier.
Oh, that's a good question. Go Tony.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons we weren't able to sell it in the year that the producer had it. You know, people were reading it and telling us how great it was and how funny it was and how brilliant it was and how outside the box it was, and this is tremendous and you guys are awesome. We want to work with you. We don't want to make this. Okay, why? You know, well, for one thing, it's called Stunt. It's like, okay. You know, and that's really, it's that simple. Like, they don't think, you know, they can get Coca-Cola to sponsor a television show called Stunt. It's that simple. It doesn't matter what the story is or the characters are or how good the script is. None of that matters. They need to know that sponsors will sponsor it.
Have a Coke and a cock.
You know.
Cock is too close to Coke. Pepsi will not sponsor us. But yeah, no, that's kind of where it is, like, right now. Like, we still have that 3-minute short. We gave it to Shadow Machine, who's responsible for Trip Tank on Comedy Central. They've been sitting on it for a year and telling us, oh, if we get a second season of Trip Tank, we're going to make your short. This is awesome. And then they got their second season, and they were like, if we get a third season of Trip Tank, we're going to make your short. It's awesome. Send us more artwork, and we send them more artwork. Like, this is awesome, and we aren't making it yet, you know? And so for us, it's just like, we can either wait around for somebody else to, you know, to shit, or we can just go ahead and do it ourselves.
Make something, get it out there.
I guess I got a question mostly for Jim. So I'd heard in an interview with Ralph Bakshi once that when you were doing Mighty Mouse, he was way too bored to get people on board, so he went and he got a lot of students. That most of you who worked on it were students.
Well,
Have you guys considered a path like that?
it was a mixture. There was a lot of Cal Arts students that went on to become big shots on The Simpsons, like Jim Reardon and Rich Moore, and then there was some us older. Well, we were young at the time, but
You're still young, but
yeah. Some of us veterans, and it was and then there was some, you know, some of Ralph's regular crew was already with him, so it was just one of them. And this, as a aside, the way Ralph sold Mighty Mouse to has nothing to do with what Stunt got, but it's a funny story. And Ralph was at CBS pitching ideas for Saturday morning TV shows, and he was pitching this and that, his own ideas, and they were going, no, he was about to leave, and he goes, hey, wait, you know, how about Mighty Mouse? And of course, he didn't own Mighty Mouse. He just said, how about Mighty Mouse? And he said, okay, and then, I got to get the rights to Mighty Mouse. And somehow CBS found out that they owned it. So,
whoa.
it's just, that's how weird things are. That's how things get sold. It's just the absurd and the ridiculous comes together, and we get fired. No. But that cocaine episode was about cocaine, so I don't know whatever you heard it was. It was powdered flowers. I just want to clear that up, that whole controversy thing.
Have you guys looked for students for this project, perhaps, to do a similar approach?
We haven't actually now.
If they're good.
if they're good, we would do it. Yeah. So you know, next steps again. You know, there's more pitching and all that kind of stuff, and we'll still pitch, and then probably the same thing will happen. That's always happened. They go, wow, this is amazing. Yeah, okay. Even we'll option it. We'll sit on it for a year, and then we'll never make it. So next option is right. Kickstarter, great. Get an e-copy of the book for donating, you know, whatever. Donate more. Get a hard copy of the book signed by Jim. We have a booth here, and he's doing illustrations on the back, like Ren and Stimpy, and a bunch of awesome stuff. So
Buy the
you guys
book
can-
here, Jim will do
Buy the book,
a
give us money.
unique, one-of-a-kind drawing.
I'll
on
come
the
to your house.
On the
Draw.
back, just to pimp some merchandise, it says, "This is the first printing of Stunt Cock. There are only 200 copies. You're a lucky son of a bitch." So, that guy, he's got one. He's got one. Awesome. So, yeah, if we get enough money, that we can get students to make probably the short. We'll make the Chariots of the Dogs short. So yeah, it's really Ben-Hur-esque. I mean, Jim can do some amazing. I don't know where that's coming from, but
The chariot thing, well, you know, I'd go back to Ben-Hur and Charlton Heston and, you know, chariots, gladiator movies. Y'all like gladiator movies? You ever seen a grown man naked? No, I was You ever seen a chihuahua naked?
That's the thing I always wondered, Ren and Stimpy was such a great show, you know, I watched it when I was a kid, but even if you've never seen it, you heard of it, do you guys feel like having your name tied to Ren and Stimpy, has that helped you or hurt you with this project?
this is the very first time anybody's really heard about this Stunt Cock besides like Jim hadn't been associated with any of like the show pitches or anything like that, right? All they know is like, here's some weird Stunt Cock stuff. So, you know, when we go do more pitches now, new script, we do have this book that we can go in and be like, look at this, here's the artwork. So maybe that'll go from option maybe to option probably and then not, but so
But as
we're
far-
still figuring it out.
As far as just here, it's definitely helpful.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
the crowd here, and like, you know, you guys know, people are walking by and seeing that Ren and Stimpy on the wall, and, you know, they immediately stop and want to say hi to Jim. Even if it's just to tell him that it was their favorite cartoon growing up. So it is a great way to get attention, on top of the fact that it's like, it's the exact same style of art that we were looking for in the first place. Like, it was a really nice kismet.
How'd you learn to draw like this, Jim? How'd you learn how to draw like this?
I spent a lot of time watching television as a kid, movies, and basically learned from watching too much TV. So don't let them tell you you're watching too much TV. So I didn't go to college for that. Like all these CalArts guys, these smarty pants college guys. No, it's just any way you can get there. But I just drew a lot. I spent a lot of time in my room by myself drawing.
And you're good.
And just-
Still good. Still
He's very
great.
good.
I made
Thank you.
myself indispensable,
Yeah.
unfireable.
Yes. In this case, yeah. Not letting them go.
Well, if someone was interested in drawing, what kind of advice would you give them?
I just, you gotta just really love drawing, and you just want to do it so bad you'll spend all your time working on it and watching old cartoons, drawing your friends, ridiculing your relatives on paper, and, you know, just draw all the time and get so good that they'll hire you. You know, so it's like any other occupation. You gotta just kind of dedicate yourself to it, and occasionally drink lots of beer.
Yes.
What else? And don't do drugs.
Beer's not a drug, right?
Beer ain't drinking, and weed ain't drugs.
So, when you're writing it, what kind of process do you go through writing it? Do you do scripts, or do you do like a storyboard first, or is it just a plain just write it out and?
Well, for this, we had a script to work from. We were
Yeah.
working from a 30-page pilot and trying to figure out how many pages we needed. And one of the things we did was we went out and bought a couple of storybooks, the big golden books for movies that we were familiar with, Disney stuff. Because we wanted to see how much of the movie plot they took to make the book plot. Because we needed to know what that ratio was going to be. How many little beats do we need? And really just from a process of elimination, we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this, we don't need this. We got to 40 pages and the story as it is. And kind of the tough thing in doing it as a book is it's a new world, it's new characters. Whereas if you're reading a storybook from Finding Nemo, you already know the story. If you're reading it to your kid, the kid's already seen the movie. We had to find a way to get exposition and character introduction and world introduction and sort of squeeze that into 6 pages, like 8 pages of individual drawings. We aren't doing a comic book, we're doing a storybook. So we had to really find these sort of touch-tone moments for the characters that just said, this is who this guy is. Understanding that Stunt Cock is the only rooster in the world who's never seen the sunrise. And then finding an image where he's passed out drunk because he doesn't wake up in the morning.
And he fell off the
drinks all
silo because he was too
Oh, I
drunk.
just got
You
the
know.
irony of that. Wow, yeah. Yeah.
So coming up with that story moment, okay, so he's that rooster, he's never seen the sunrise, and we need one image that sells it. And we need, 2 sentences that sell that moment and tell us who this character is. That process of refining what in the script was 10 pages of dynamic audio visual stuff into 1 page, that's what Leppo and I spent a lot of time on.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out how to do that. It was particularly tough at the beginning. As the story gets on, it was easier because once you've got the characters in place and you're just dealing with plot, and you're just dealing with, and then something good happens and then something bad happens. That's easier to do. But the exposition, the character introductions, that was tough stuff.
Cool, all right. Do you guys have any other questions you want to ask?
Mom goes first.
When you mentioned Ralph Bakshi, I know he did Fritz the Cat, which was also a very racy cartoon.
The
And-
first X-rated cartoon.
And, yeah, in a much more puritanical time. So do you think it's just a matter of getting this on the right guy's desk to get it made into a film?
I hope so.
We've been working for 2.5 to 3 years with the hope that that's the case. Part of the problem is that we're getting more puritanical as we go along. It's kind of weird, like mass media is becoming more and more and more constrained because it's becoming more and more and more corporate sponsor driven. So, finding a channel for something that's actually racy. It's like, they throw BoJack Horseman up on Netflix and it's like, oh, there's, a drug joke in there. And it's like, dude, we were doing so much more in the 60s.
Deep
Like
Throat
this-
was in theaters.
It's strange. It's like all of a sudden people have, gotten shy about everything. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Question.
Yeah, for Jim, do you still keep in touch with any of the old, Spunko guys or, currently
Sure.
work on any projects with
Well, I've
them?
been working with John Crisfalucci on his Kickstarter. He did a Kickstarter.
Right.
He's still trying to finish that and some cartoon, Adult Swim bumpers, little, short pieces of things. And he's, of course, if you go to his blog, you can see a lot of my artwork on there and old artwork from Ren and Stimpy and other stuff. And so he's keeping real busy, and we kind of just, trying to keep the association going because we like funny,
Yeah.
funny drawings. And, it's kind of we have a society of funny appreciation thing going here, and it's Eric and Tony are into the funny, so
Yeah,
that's what we like to do. Make you laugh till you pee your pants.
What are you doing on those projects? Are you storyboarding? Are you laying out? Are you doing character design? What are you doing?
For John, well, on Kickstarter, I did boards and layouts, and I actually tried my hand at animation, but it was not really for me. Animation's kind of hard, so I'd rather do storyboarding and one drawing and then move on.
Yeah.
Animation is very hard, and I have a whole new appreciation for animators, because that's really where that's where it happens. So, but storyboards, have to be. You've seen the great Disney storyboards, and
Yeah.
they really set the tone. So,
Animator doesn't know what to do without you.
yeah, the animators are lost until we do.
Mm-hmm.
They just sit there waiting, looking at the wall. What do we draw? No, but it's a collaboration. So,
Do you feel drawing it by hand just makes it seem more real to you? Or if that makes any sense? Does it feel like when you're drawing it by hand, you feel more connected to the story?
Well, I do, yeah, yeah, drawing on the computer is kind of a step removed for me, because I feel like I'm drawing in the vacuum of space or something.
Yeah.
If I have it on paper, and I can touch it and the feel of the paper, and just, you know, and you can scan it and have your way with it in the computer, but it just, there's a look to the paper drawing that you don't get on the computer. So it's, you know, just however you like to work, you know, it's a tool, another way of doing it. Someday the computer programs will probably, I don't know, maybe be able to capture that feel, I don't know.
We would have been done 6 months earlier or something, or whatever, if we had done this on a computer, but we wouldn't have got the look that we got through.
That's organic look.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. It was worth the pain.
Yeah, without question.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any other questions you want to ask?
What's our booth number?
I got a question.
Go. What do you got?
How do I get out of this thing? No. It's like the guy in Aliens. How do I get out of this chicken?
I think we're 1556.
We are not. We
What
were
is it?
1556 until yesterday, and they moved us, so we don't actually have a booth number. We are on the back side of 1556, like 1 block down. If you know where the Mile High Comics booth is, to the right of the main stage, we are right next to Mile High Comics.
It's like by
I have
1400,
been staring at
1500.
Power Rangers for 48 hours now. So if you spot the Power Rangers, we're right there next to them.
In the line to see Campbell. Was it good?
Yeah, J. Scott Campbell. J. Scott Campbell's line has been
They're just
surrounding.
standing there looking at
I thought that was the bathroom. I was like, everybody's got to go. Oh, no.
it. We love them.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. If you guys don't have any other questions, anything else you guys want to add?
Come get a book.
Last one?
There's a question over here.
What do you got?
Is Jim willing to reveal his secrets on how he beautifully rendered all these images?
Well, it's like the Colonel Sanders recipe, you know, it's secret. Just can't reveal it, or it'll become Popeyes.
A magician that makes
Popeyes chicken. But well, if you'll come by the booth and buy a book, I'll give you some secret tips.
How much is the book?
Huh?
How much?
I'm
15, and that comes with the illustration on the back.
And it's printed in America. This is not some like $3 printed in China piece of shit. So, this is printed in America, printed in New York.
Believe it or not, we're not making $14.50 off of
No.
a $15 price.
Yeah, these books actually cost $11 for us to make, to get 200 copies, just so you know. But we wanted to get it out here and just let some people know what we were up to, and then we'll put more out there. There'll be, you can buy the online version and all that kind of stuff, whatever. But
After this initial run, we've already bought the ISBN, the barcodes and all that stuff. These are gonna be in bookstores and they will have barcodes on them. Once these 200 are gone, you know, no matter where this project goes, if it never goes anywhere else, there's gonna be 200 without barcodes, and that's it. And once they're gone, they're gone.
and they're numbered, right? Do you number them?
They are. I'm numbering them as I pull them out of the boxes.
Sweet.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
we've got 200 total, and we are up to, I just numbered number 80. So we've
Cool.
sold probably about 70 today.
Sweet. Love it.
Doing good.
Okay. We good?
Anything else? You guys want to ask any other questions?
Adam, you got questions? I know that.
She asked already. I was gonna ask how much they were.
That guy bought 5. So that's why I know his name. I was like, oh, okay, because he got Jim to draw on the back of all of them, which is crazy. But, yeah.
Yeah, my dad only bought 2.
So his dad wants his picture on the back. I love that. Did you draw my son?
He did. My dad had Jim do a caricature of me on the back of the book, which is hysterical, because
That's
now
like
I look like a Ren and Stimpy
That's like
character,
good,
which is
yeah.
awesome.
Actually, no, I got a question, Jim. How really does this differ from like doing storyboarding or doing
Did you say stiffer?
Yes, how is this
no.
different? How does this make this different?
Sorry, no. Differ from storyboarding?
Yeah, from storyboarding or
Well,
you know.
it's kind of similar, but it's more it's like the key shots on a board as opposed to all the continuity in between the key shots. Trying to capture the scene in one drawing with, you know, kind of the way you do your thumbnails, you know, you just, this is, I want all this, and you want all this on the cover, you know, can you put this on there? But storyboarding is closer to animation because you have to kind of think ahead of what the animator has to deal with. Because when I first got into storyboarding, everything was a script, like a sitcom script. There was no animation had gotten away from its roots, where they used to do the storyboards from an outline and a premise, and the story was basically written in the storyboard. And the dialogue was kind of figured out as you go, and it wasn't a story until the board was done, and then they would make it animatic, and then sometime in the 70s they started using scripts where you could not change a single word. The studio executives could read scripts, but they didn't understand the storyboards, and so you had that long period where we just had to draw exactly what the writer put on the script, and most of the writers were not. They wanted to do live action, and they were just working in animation just to have a job. So, and then we tried to change that and give the story back to the cartoons, the guys who have to actually draw it. So, because we would get scripts, and you know, like a G.I. Joe or a Transformers from the '80s, and there would be one sentence on the script that says, 20,000 robots come flying towards Earth, and they destroy half the Earth, and then they fly away, and that's, you know, and then the writer goes to lunch. Draw that, you know. So you can see how it would. I'm writing a book about that, so how to draw cartoons the manly way. Is that contradiction, manly cartoonist? No.
All right, well, if you guys don't have any other questions, does anyone else want to ask any questions before we wrap it up? No? All right, well, please give a big round of applause to Jim Smith, Tony Baker, Eric Leppo.